Government 2.0 can be described as bringing the advantages of Web 2.0 to the practice of government. I'd like to focus on web technologies such as rich internet applications and web services and show how GIS can be a platform for Gov 2.0. Just north of where the Olympics are being held right now is the District of North Vancouver. On their GIS department's website, they've got their idea of Gov 2.0 spelled out. Open data, free maps, and rich applications. I think they've got the right idea. They published a series of applications called their GeoWeb, which focus on topics such as property information, local history, and this one based on hazards. Part of the appeal of these Web 2.0 applications is that they're easy to use. Anyone can come in and just start clicking these controls and get a very quick idea for how they affect what's shown on the map. One of the things I like about this application is that I don't see a long list of folders and layers. That's something that a GIS professional might be comfortable with, but it's not necessarily intuitive for everyone. They presented a clean list of options here, which makes it very simple for anyone to make their own map. Let's say I'd like to view property values along with crime. I just read through the phrase that I'm prompted with, and I can create my own map. Or let's say I want to look at neighborhoods along with bike routes, bus stops, and parks. One thing you also notice is that North Vancouver has used web mapping best practices and organized their information in terms of base maps and operational layers. But I don't see that jargon listed anywhere here on the web application. They've created a powerful app with a simple user experience that leverages their GIS to put their maps and data on the web for everyone. I mentioned that Gov 2.0 is Web 2.0 plus government. Let's talk about the government part of that equation. Many of you are familiar with data.gov. It's a registry of downloadable data sets that are published by the federal government. The data.gov catalog is growing rapidly due to the Open Data Directive and other efforts to increase the availability of government data. This is a list of all the data sets that have been available or have been added to data.gov in the recent weeks, and you can see it's quite extensive. Last year, there was a contest that challenged people to create applications using the information posted on data.gov. One of the winners of that contest was greenriver.org and their application, This We Know. It provides many interesting ways to browse the information on data.gov. And one of those ways is seen on the homepage here, where they've got several lists of the top 5 cities that are ranked in certain areas. This information is coming directly from the EPA, Census, and Department of Labor. Green River is going to be working to bring web mapping to the future of This We Know, and I have some initial ideas of how that might look. We can search for locations and get an interesting list of facts about this area. We can click on one of those and get additional options for viewing that information as well as related information. Here we're viewing some demographic information from the Census Bureau, so we can browse different demographic maps such as age, diversity index, and population change. And there's also a census reference overlay service on top of this, which is showing the labels and some of the boundaries. This is based on the Census Bureau's map style and their new 2009 Tiger data. Provides a great reference for making any sorts of online demographic maps. We could also supplement what the government knows with what the general public knows by searching social networking sites. We can do a Twitter search for different terms that we're interested in and see what the public is saying about that today. So we can get different comments about what people are tweeting about different terms as we enter those in here. We can look at other pieces of information, such as information coming from EPA's toxic release inventory database. We can map that information thematically on our map, and we can also put the points directly on our map as well and get additional information about these sites. My last example shows what kind of questions could be answered when information from different sources is brought together and mashed up. The goal of a relatively new field called geomedicine is to think about place and health together to help people live longer, healthier lives. This application helps people to explore the places that they lived and the health and environmental effects that may have been in effect in those areas. People can enter the places where they've lived throughout their life and then start to explore pieces of information coming from different sources. For example, we can bring in information from the Dartmouth Atlas of Healthcare and see if we've lived in areas of relatively high or low areas of heart attack rates. We could also drill into one of these areas and bring in that same information we looked at before from the EPA's toxic release inventory and see what materials may have been released into the environment around where we've lived. The U.S. National Library of Medicine provides information in their HAZMAP database about health effects of these materials, and we can see that here. Users of this application can create a report that summarizes their findings, showing all these environmental factors, which they could share with their doctor. Of course, looking at toxic releases and heart attack rates is just the beginning. We could also bring in information about air and water quality, radon, lead paint, and other environmental factors. And if that information was readily available as spatially enabled web services, it would be easy to incorporate them into this application and into our place history. And that is the type of service that Government 2.0 can provide.